So in this video, we're going to download our data and prepare it ready for plotting. So usual way, we're going to use our files command from Google Colab. So from google.colab, we're going to import files using our normal variable name, uploaded equals files dot upload. And with these kind of things that I use frequently, you can either put them into a function, so you have that ready to go, and you can just kind of paste it into your Google Colab, or you can keep a specific Google Colab sheet. Very hard to say, apparently. Where you have these commonly used things, and you can just cut and paste them in if you want, rather than typing them each time. So we're going to choose our file, which is calcium. So make sure you've downloaded that from the download point on this lesson. So that's got the data available for us to use. We need to import it now. So that file is read into Google. We need to import our CSV file with open calcium.csv as data, return. We use variable name reader, csv.reader, reading in our data, and it has a delimiter of a comma because it's comma separated variable file. And then we're going to go through each row in turn. So for I in reader, add it to my list, and then go right tab both back so we can print out my list. Just check we've read our data in. So we can see we've got a list of lists because we've got two square brackets here. We've got our floats, but they're actually represented as a string because we have the quotation marks around them. And we have two bits of data, which is what we expect. So if you look at the file for this data set, the first is the time in minutes that the cell was suspended in the solution, and second value is the amount of calcium that they took in number of moles per milligram. So we need to pull out this data set, and we need to change it from a string to a float so we can actually do some analysis on this. I'm going to do this in a slightly different way to what we've done before because I want two separate lists. I want a list of times and a list of calciums. So the times are the first one, calciums are the second one. So what I'm actually going to do in one for loop is go through this and pull out all the values that are in the first point and put those into one list, and all the values in the second point and put them into one list. So I'm going to set up an empty variable of time and an empty variable of calcium, so we have somewhere to put this data. Just go through it in a for loop for I in range, and let's measure the len of my list. So this means I don't need to create a copy of my list because I'm not going to change it. I'm just extracting information from it. So this is going to go for each row in here. And then for that row, I'm going to pull out the 0th position and append it to the time. Remembering to turn it into float though as I'm doing that. So that's the ith row and the 0th position. And then for the calcium, I'm going to turn it to float. It's the ith row and the first position. And we'll print out in the same window, that's fine. Remember to tab back or you're going to get some horrifying recurring printing for each of the rows. So we've got one list of times and we have 3 repeated times in a row, so that's correct for the data set. And then a list of calcium measurements. Excellent. So when you're ready, on to the next video, and we're going to go with our scatter graph straight away.